so cool.
Alright, so there's your pen.
90954. 90954.
How many are in here? 20. Alright. 5 more. Anybody need help? 3 more. 90954. 1 more. There we go. Alright, everybody ready? Here we go. This is a free test, so is it okay if you don't know the answer? Yeah, just pick the one you think is best, okay? What does plagiarism mean? What does plagiarism mean? Stealing words, stealing movies, putting information into your own words, or none of the above? Hey, you rocked it. Look at that. Awesome. Alright, so Cody's in the lead. What is the Super 3? What is the Super 3? A research model, a superhero, a physical property, or the name of a model? What is the Super 3? A research model, a superhero, a physical property? So we got to work on that, right? Is it okay if we got it wrong?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. It's okay. Brooklyn's in the lead. Number 3. How many physical properties did Miss White teach you in class? 10, 5, 3, 7.
I don't know. That's like a trick question. There's 6 stations. Yeah! I got 5. No. I'm in 7.
Alright.
Liquid gas.
And the leader changes again. Which one would be considered a credible source? A credible source. People Magazine, encyclopedias, Wikipedia, or the student sitting next to you in class? Which one would be credible? Not bad, not bad. We talked about that yesterday, right?
I thought it was encyclopedia.
Alright, Dakota is still winning. What does it mean to cite a source? What does it mean to cite a source? You tell your neighbor about it. You tell where you found the information. Write thank you notes to the place you found the information. Or you don't know.
I don't know.
Ah, y'all are rocking it. That's awesome.
I was one of them.
Alright.
That was quick.
So there are our top 3. Dakota is our winner.
Decaden.
That doesn't say Decaden, it says Decade actually. Who is Decade? Where's Decade? Okay. And then Torrin and Kaylee coming in 3rd. Alright, so we're going to
Would you mind getting the results? Because I give tickets for the top 5.
You gotta push it.
no, are you joking?
Yeah, I think you have to put it on your iPad.
Oh, maybe so. Thank you. I thought you said you had to push it.
Okay. Oh man.
Well,
I have the top 5.
being difficult. So I'm going to take a picture of that. So, are you going to write it down so we know the results? You got your top 5?
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
It's
Alright.
Decaden's one.
Now, here we go. So you can go ahead and just shut your Chromebook, set them on. Okay, so Miss White has been working with you in class for the last How long, Ms. White?
About a week or so.
About a week or so, working on classifying matter with physical properties. And so the purpose for you to come in here today is that we're going to do some research, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit about the research before you actually do the research. I told you yesterday that this is the beginning of your career of researching, right? I am finishing up my master's degree, so I've been researching for, I'm not even going to tell you how many years, too many to think about. So what is it that you're going to be researching today? Raise your hand if you can tell me what you're going to be researching. It's not Dakota, it is Decaden. What are you researching today? Physical properties. Physical properties. So that's what you've been working on in science class, right? So what are physical properties? Cody, what are physical properties?
Describing matter.
Okay, describing matter. What's matter? What's matter, Brooklyn?
It's something that takes up space.
Something that takes up space. Are we matter?
Yes.
Yeah, we are matter. I take up more space than you take up, right? Okay. So we're going to learn a research model. There's several different ones. Because this is really your first time to deal with a research model, I picked the one that I thought would be easiest for you to remember. So there's only 3 steps to this research model. There is the first step, which is we're going to plan, okay? And the second step, after we plan, then we're going to
Do.
And then at the end, we're going to go through and
Review.
What does that word review mean? Kaylee.
Go back over it and make sure you get the capital letters.
Yeah, make sure you've got everything you needed, right? You're going to look at your grammar, look at your information. That's the time we're going to stop and say, is our information credible? Did we get sources that are dependable, that are correct? So, Super 3 research model, there's 3 steps. What are they?
Plan, do, review.
Excellent. Perfect. That's pretty easy. So what do we do in the planning? And that's what we're fixing to do in here. So there's a few different pieces to the planning. One, what's your job? You just told me what your job was, right? What is it?
Define 5 physical properties that are new.
Okay, so she's talked about 5 in class. Can you use those 5? No, you have to find 5 different ones than what you talked about in class, okay? So you know what information that you need to find. So you already know what your job is. You're researching. You know what you're researching. Where are we going to find this information? Where are we going to go look at for this information, Ms. Rayner?
On a credible site.
What does that word credible mean? If we're looking for something that's credible, what does that mean? Believable, right. So we're looking for something factual. So can Miss White and I be a credible source?
No.
Probably. We're not scientists, so we could help get you to a credible source, right? But we're not experts in that field, so we're really not going to be a credible source for you. So where am I going to find these credible sources at? Where am I going to go to find these credible sources at? Miller?
You could maybe go to Google and look it up right there.
Okay, there's a lot of information on Google, right? Now that's where it kind of gets a little tricky when you're on Google, because how do we know if it is credible, what we find on Google? How are we going to know what is actually accurate and what is Miss Leopold just posting something out there, what she thinks? How are we going to figure that out, what's credible?
By seeing if it's believable.
Sometimes, though, if you're a really good writer, Miss Stroud back there, she writes really well. Do you think she could write something that would sound credible, but may not be credible?
Yeah.
She could. So a lot of times, when you're looking at information on the internet, you need to look at where it's coming from. If it's like from an EDU, that tells you it's an educational source. You know how you do like google.com? So .coms aren't always credible. So when you're looking for credible, you want to look more like if the ending is EDU. Some of those, Gov, Gov, Those are some of the things we're going to look at to determine if they're credible or not, okay? And that's how we're going to know if our work is good or not. So what's going to be our plan of action in a minute? What are you going to do? Who can tell me what you're going to do in a minute when I cut you loose? Serenity? What are you going to do in a minute?
We're gonna look up things on Credible.
Excellent. We're going to make sure that we're researching, but we want to make sure we're getting good information. So that's our plan part. Then we're going to do it, right? In a minute you're going to do it. What is the do part, okay? Well, that's when, what, Haley?
I will find the information I need.
Yeah, you're going to look for the information you need. Is there somewhere else we can look besides the internet?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. What is another place that you can look, Miss Thayer?
Books.
Yeah. Where are we at right now?
In the library.
In the library. So, we're going to be able to use books. Now, if you don't know where to find books about matter at in the library, how are you going to find them? How are you going to find them? Caden. Colton. Caden's brother.
You can look on the iPads and try to search up for it and get it.
Yes. Do we remember what that's called when we go on the iPad? What are we searching? Catalog. Yeah, we're searching the catalog. So you might find your information from books, databases. I'm going to show you how to get on our encyclopedia site where we have an online encyclopedia, computers, notes from Miss White, because Miss White's using a science book. Is your science book a credible source?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And then once we find our sources, did Miss White tell you how many sources that you had to cite?
5.
You have to find 5 different matters, but remember, citing our source is giving credit to where we got the information from, right? Did she tell you? Okay, we're going to have to find 2 sources. So, if you use a book from the library, you're going to have to write that book down, and we'll help you with learning how to cite them correctly. Miss Stroud is really good at that, because in the high school, Miss Stroud, do they have to do that?
Yes, all the time.
All the time. And so if you have a website that you find that we know is credible, that could be 2. But you're going to have to tell us 2 different places that you got your information from. Okay, so that's the do. And then we're going to review it. Once we've gathered all our information, we're going to review it. How are we going to do it? Did I get everything Miss White wants me to get?
Yes.
Okay. Do I feel good about what I got? You have to determine that, right? That's when you're going to look at, she wanted me to get 5. I got 3 good ones. I'm not sure about these 2. If you're not sure, what are you going to do? Ask. You're going to ask. We're here to help you, right? To make sure, did you proofread your work? You're taking a writing test this year, right? Yes. So proofreading is a big, big piece of what you do in 4th grade. Okay? So you're looking for spelling errors, for punctuation errors. You're looking to see, do you have complete sentences? Does it make sense? Those are the things, and the only way, I'm going to tell you this, and all of you, everyone in here, and the reason I know this is because I've taught 4th grade for 14 years. You little people do not like to reread your work. You like to write it down and turn it in. And the only way that you're going to find your mistakes is by rereading it out loud. Because when you read it in your brain, you know that your brain automatically fixes the mess-ups. If you're reading it in your head, you don't even notice the mess-up because your brain sees it and fixes it as you're reading it in your head. But if you read it out loud, your brain's like, whoa, 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 stop. We don't have a comma here. Ooh, we forgot a word. So you need to reread your stuff out loud so that you can hear and look for your mistakes. And then this is big. What did we say plagiarism was? Ted, what's plagiarism?
Stealing other people's words.
Yeah, do we want to be a thief?
No.
No. So we want to make sure it's okay if we write down word for word in our notes what is said there. But when we do that, you need to put quotes around it so you know it's not your words, but then you have to reword it, right? Because if you don't reword it, it's called plagiarism. And so we don't want to plagiarize. We want to rephrase it which means putting it in our own words. And then after that, you look at it, is there something else that I need, that I missed something? Okay? Did Miss White make you a rubric? Okay, so we know though, right? We know we have to have 5 things on physical properties. Okay, so let's do a quick review of what it is that Miss White has been teaching you before we get started on our research. So everybody say it. What have you been learning?
States of matter.
States of matter, physical properties. Well, Miss Leopold was the English teacher, right? So science would be like a weakness for me. So I bet y'all can teach me some stuff about science. And what physical properties are?
States of matter.
Eric, what are physical properties?
States of matter.
What is that? I don't know what a state of matter is, Eric. What is it?
Solid.
What does solid mean?
Something that's together to make it like hard. Yeah.
Okay.
So remember, physical property though, states of matter is a type of physical property. What is a physical property? What's a physical property? Y'all already said at the beginning.
I can't form into what it is.
Okay, hold on, back up.
I know.
Think about physical property. Your name is states of matter. States of matter is a type of physical property, but what does a physical property mean? Because there's more than one, right? Okay, keep going.
Something that takes up space.
Keep going. That's matter. What's a physical property? Okay? Describes matter. So, states of matter is a physical property. Solid, liquid, gas is a physical property. Color is a physical property. Because it describes all that stuff like mass and things like that. Okay?
Okay. Awesome. See, I'm learning science. All right, so physical properties, do they include appearances,
Yes.
textures,
Yes.
color,
Yes.
odor,
Yes.
melting point,
Yes. Some.
boiling point,
Yes.
density?
Yes.
What does that word density mean, Cody?
Like if it's stretchable.
Not
We
quite.
haven't used density yet.
Not
That's
yet.
our next section.
What do you think density means?
Like, example, you have a solid, and like it's like if it
How,
Compacted it is.
yeah,
So that means
Heavy.
what the molecules inside, the atoms that we talked about, how spaced out they are. So remember when we did the model and we were all squished up together and modeled the science, the solid, what was that like?
you couldn't
We were all
move.
squished up. Could we move around a lot?
No.
No. So that's dense. Okay, that's more dense. So remember when we modeled with our body the air,
Yeah, it was just
and what did we notice that there was what?
like they were
More space in between what? The molecules, good, okay? So that means that's less dense, okay? So that's density.
okay? And then solubility, and there's a whole lot more than that. I just picked the ones that I understood when I was looking at it last night, so there's a lot more than that. So someone explain to me again exactly what are you researching today? Torin, what are you researching today? Physical properties. Who can tell me what are the 5 that you've been talking about in class? You've been talking about 5 in class. All right, Miss Mish, give me one.
We've been talking about measurement.
Length.
Length. All
Remember,
right.
they're in your journal
One
if you're
more.
not sure.
Buoyancy. What does that word mean?
So like if it floats or if it
If it floats or if it sinks, there's 2. Case.
conductivity.
What is that big word? Conductivity. What does that mean? Case, do you know? No? All right.
Have you done that station yet?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll go back to that one if you're not
What do
sure.
you think it means?
The object can conduct electricity through it.
Can electricity flow through it? Miss White, your stations are like fabulous because they are on the mark. Haley, number 4,
Magnetism.
magnetism. And you know what else I like, Miss White, what I see? is that they are looking through their notes. Y'all have a journal, right? Which is for you to keep notes in. If you don't know, go back to your journal. All right, Brooklyn, the fifth one.
States of matter.
States of matter. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So you must have what in a minute? You're going to have what? Five new physical properties. Can you use one of the ones Miss White gave you? No. Okay? So we're going to create a Google slide. This right here that I'm using is a Google slide, right? So you're going to create a Google slide. You're going to have at least 5 slides, because how many new physical properties are you going to find? 5, okay? So you're going to have 1 per slide. Can you do more than that?
Yes.
Yes, you can. So 1 physical property per slide. We want you to have a picture on your slide, okay? So 5, you're going to have 5 physical properties. You're going to have 5 pictures to go with your physical properties. Then you have to write a brief description of what your physical property is, right? So 5 physical properties, 5 pictures, 5 slides, and then you have to describe each one of those.
Miss Leopold, just to back up just a second, Kaylee earlier asked a really sweet question. She says, well, what if I find a couple of pictures that I like? Can I put more than 1 picture on there to give it a better description? And I told her yes. So, but we want to make sure that the information is going to be coming mostly from our description that we decide, from our creditable source, and we want to make sure that it's accurate with the description. But if you want to add more than 1 picture, that's cool.
Okay, awesome. And then after your research is done, that's when you're going to put together your slideshow. Anybody in here never used Google Slides before? Anyone in here that's never used Google Slides before? Okay. I know if you were in Miss Presso's room last year that she used Google Slides. It's like a PowerPoint. Do you know what a PowerPoint is?
No.
Okay. This is a PowerPoint. It's where you put information and we display it, right? Each time I hit a slide, does it have something different for us to talk about? So you're going to create one of these about physical properties, okay? So, and there'll be several of us in here that will be able to help you as you start creating your slides. All right, now, we're going to research, but before we research, I'm going to show you up here one more time, and we've already done this before in our library lesson, but we're going to do it again. I'm going to show you how to use the catalog, okay, and then I'm going to show you how to get on the Britannica online website so you can do your research there. All right, so
Hey, keep y'all's devices shut for just a few minutes until she asks you to do
Yeah,
so.
hold
Okay,
on.
follow directions first. Don't get distracted. I know you guys are comfortable with what your ideas are so far. That's awesome. Just hang
what did
out
we have
just
to
a
do
second.
yesterday, Miss White? When
I think that check the link again because it was working this morning.
okay. It's very sensitive. It's
But we
like,
had to go to Bing. Remember, we had to go to a different search engine yesterday.
Yes.
okay. So when you get to the school website, right? What school are we at? The elementary school. All right. When the elementary school site comes up, you are what? You are a student. So we're going, and where are we at?
Library.
We're in the library. So if you look here, there's a lot of different options, right? Well, when you're looking for books in the library, what are we going to use?
Catalog. Destiny Library Catalog.
Catalog, okay. So we're going to go look there first. And what school are we?
Sweeney Elementary.
Remember I told you, you could look at the high school, but are any of the high school books in this library?
No.
No, it would just be a waste of time. And which menu am I going to use?
Catalog.
All right. And so what are we researching?
Physical properties.
So some said states of matter, some said physical properties. You could type either one in there.
Well, which one's gonna be most accurate, because states of matter is a physical property, but we've already done that one, so can we use it? Physical properties is gonna be more accurate, okay?
So I'm going to type in physical properties.
So what's your search gonna be?
Physical properties.
Say it again.
Physical properties.
Turn to your neighbor, tell your neighbor.
Physical properties.
Okay, look at Miss Leopold.
Physical properties.
I think they got it. All right, so I have different options. I can do keyword, title, author, subject, or a series. Which one do you think is going to be best? Subject. So let's see what comes up.
Keyword.
Huh. Let's go back.
just press enter.
I did press enter. So let's try it again and see what happens if we try keyword. Do we have some options now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where are their homes at?
5:30.
5:30. So Miss Stroud and I have done the legwork for you already. We have pulled all the books off of the shelves that have to do with physical properties, so we'll spread those out in a minute when you start researching. But I'm going to show you how to go back and look at the Britannica, okay? No. Let's go back here. Will it take me? Of course it is.
Up there at the top.
Oh, thank you. You're so right.
There it is.
And Miss Stroud, I'm having a blank moment. Okay, so we look here and we have like different options for, these are credible sources. So if you have to do another research project and you come to the library, one of these sources is called American Indian History and Culture. You could go in that database. These are databases that you can go in and look. Then there's one down here called Britannica Online. That's the one we're going to go to, Britannica Online.
Login.
Elementary.
I can't see that far. Oh, it came on up. So here we are. We're going to search it just like we would a while ago with our catalog, and let's see what it says if we type in physical properties. Physical therapist. Do we need a physical therapist? Maybe by the afternoon. I should be using a keyboard. It's a lot quicker.
Wow.
Okay, so then it's going to pull up properties of matter. This is an article. It has technology, and we can scroll up and you can go through and look. If you look over here, we can look for videos that could show us maybe experiments with physical properties, dictionary, magazine articles. These are the web's best. And then if Miss Wyatt decides that she doesn't really like the lesson plan that she has, she'd like to see if there's something different, she can go look at lesson plans, and it has lesson plans in there for teachers, so that's pretty cool, huh?
More work for children.
Yes. All right, so this is a what type of source?
Credible.
It's a credible source, okay? So is everybody ready
Yes,
to
ma'am.
start their research? Everybody knows what was our Super 3 model? What was our 3?
Plan, do, review.
Plan, do, review. So we are doing which piece right now?
Plan.
We're planning.
Okay,
All
everybody
right.
log on to Britannica and start your planning, okay?
All right,
You
ready,
can open up a new
set,
tab
go.
if you need to. Raise your hand and we'll come by if you need help.
Do you have to go to Britannica?
Start off with that first.
I'm
okay?
gonna-
We're gonna plan for that first.
I'm gonna show you where I put the books out, so that those of you that wanna use the books,
I'm gonna use the books.
you're gonna have to have two sources.
So remember, you're thinking about your bus, so Britannica would be a good place to start looking.
What?
Look at there, baby.
So you need two credible sources. We know that the books in the library are credible. We know Britannica is credible. Can we find a lot of stuff on the internet?
It's logged in.
Yeah, but do we know if they're all credible?
It says log in. It doesn't work.
Hey, remember, we're gonna raise our hand and we're gonna wait for a teacher, okay?
So we're gonna log in this.
Sweeney ES and library.
Okay, so your login is gonna be Sweeney ES, and then your password is gonna be library.
Okay. Holy moly. What's the username? Sweeney ES. What's the password? Library. Library.
It's really weird. It's LIBRARY. There's two R's in library.
Hold on one second.
Yes, LIBRARY. ARY.
Hey, time out, please, okay? I'll help you out 2 seconds.
Is Explorer not on here? Because this one's not picking up.
No, it's a good one.
ISC.
How did she spell library?
That's the way I've been doing it.
It's not finding it that way either.
I don't like
Alright, we got it.
You can help us find. So what's the username?
I'm gonna put it up here for you guys. Hold on just a second. Let me sign in, please.
I don't like it. Let's find there's a keyboard up there. What's the username?
Hey, if you guys will hold on just a second, I'll put your username and information up here.
We can actually write on that. There's a pin behind it.
There's a pin behind there. I don't like the Britannica.
You have to have two credible sources, so you're gonna use one from the Britannica, and then you can use one from the books or one from somewhere else. No, because like we talked about, you can look on Google, but you have to make sure that it's credible. There we go. It's being difficult. The school password when you get on to Britannica is library. So if you're having trouble getting on, just raise your hand and we'll come see if we can figure it out.
Do you mind, where's that pin at? We'll write
It is
here, but it's not-
magnetized on the very back. If you look on the back, I don't remember which side.
Do you know the password?
This board is so awesome.
It's like a big
Y'all
old
ready?
tablet.
Here's the username.
Oh,
Oh, is it ES?
Yeah.
Sorry,
How do you erase?
I don't know yet.
Oh, there it goes. Miss Westline and Miss Westline.
Miss Westline.
Once you get to the login page, Miss White is writing on the Clever Touch what the login is. So Sweeney ES Library. Aren't you loving this episode?
It's like a big
Very
old
nice.
tablet.
I'm glad that I get to come in and share some learning time with you too.
Yes.
Did I find it?
This way, when I pick up, I did it. It didn't go, so I didn't realize what.
If you're not at the login screen yet, raise your hand so we can help you.
I got you on that one too.
Biblical, she's gonna write that up there.
You have it in your journal.
Some of you are there and it looks like you're looking at some really cool stuff. So once you start finding the physical properties, you're gonna wanna start taking your notes in your journal. Excellent. So now you're gonna use your science journal to write that information. So she wrote it up here. Can you see it? Sweeney ES. And then library is your password. Okay. Yep, right here, Sweeney ES library. So underneath here would be Sweeney ES, and then your password would be library. Good job.
Can we get our
Need help?
For the movie?
I'll help first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. She's looking to see how I did this.
It's not slightly when you move it.
Okay, so once you get here, you're gonna go here.
This way, anyway.
That looks good. You already started with your slides. Okay, don't forget your two credible sources, okay? And remember to write them down in your journal, okay? Okay, have you looked at your sources yet to figure out what physical properties you want? Supposed to read Britannica. Which one is it? Which one is it? I know, but what picture is it? Is it credible? Is it from your credible information? Okay. Yes, I would take this one because it's school. But you're not gonna be able to get back in. You were supposed to special education.
Miss White, is there a way to, do a hard shutdown on this if it's like frozen?
Yes, ma'am, just hold it down until it goes off. Okay, remember you're gonna use an image? Okay, are you doing solid liquid and gas? What is that one number? That's one number in the
Frozen,
Oh.
no way it can do anything with it.
Oh, it's frozen.
So let it come back up and
That's
see
where
if
you're
you can
supposed
shut
to
out
see
those.
it. The Britannica go on. Yes, we do believe it.
Awesome, y'all are doing a great job.
Find out what some of those are.
How's it going, Ted?
Which ones that we're needing.
So this is better.
Are you gonna hurry up?
You gotta go potty? How's it doing, Callie? Is it working now?
See, and density is one we haven't talked about yet, so you could actually use that one. Okay.
How you doing, Bubba? Now, you're already working on your Google slides. Does that mean you have all your 5 that you're gonna find? And you have your 2 sites that you're using? So you wanna do your research first. We're in which part of the Super 3 are we in right now? The plan. So we're not in the do yet, are we? The do is where we're gonna actually put all that information.
I know, that's the fun part, right, where you get to be creative. Get your information first, and then you'll get to work on your slides, okay?
You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
How do I take this little?
Start off with Britannica, so
You're
you're doing
doing
some
the
ideas
same
of which other
thing.
physical properties
Okay.
you want, because that's the ones that we have in our journal.
Let's stop. Everyone look at me. Everyone look at me. Ted, look at me. So some of you are already on your Google Slides. Are we on the do part yet? No, we're in the plan part of the Super 3. We're gathering our information. We want to gather everything before we start the next step, which is the do. So you shouldn't be on your Google Slides. Take your notes in your journal. I realize some of you are taking what you're finding and just putting it dry into that Google slide. But what happens tomorrow when Miss White wants to talk about something and you don't have any notes in your journal? Okay? So let's take our notes first, and then we will work on doing the do piece of it. Oh, that's awesome. Now just remember when you're on Google that you want to make sure that you're looking at, when you pull it up, that it's an EDU website, not a .com. Because .com is where you may not get credible information from there, okay? I'm very impressed with your research skills. You're doing a great job. So then you start reading it and taking notes. You're looking for 5 that you haven't talked about with Miss White, okay? 5 that you haven't talked about with Miss White. Anybody need help? Did you get in, babe? Yes? That is cool. How many of you have been on this Britannica site before? Anyone in here that's been on it through the library page before? Yeah, it's an awesome site. It's going to be really good as you move up in the grades and you start doing more research projects. You're really going to want to know how to get on here and use this information, because we know it's credible, and we know that when we cite it, our teacher's going to be okay with our research from where if we get it from the Britannica. You remember yesterday we talked about the resource section in the library and that we don't have encyclopedias in here anymore? Remember us talking about that? And I said that all the encyclopedias were like, all the A's were there. If I wanted zebras, I had to pull out the Z. Well, the reason we don't have it in here anymore is because this is it online. Don't forget, we have the books back here. This can be source 2. That's going to have some in it. I have them all laid out on. That's going to be one of your 5. Yeah, I think probably. They're so engaged. Look how serious they are. Some of them are watching videos they found.
You're doing awesome.
I know it. This is what you're going to get in a few years. They're going to be ready.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah, get the books. That's another source. Remember, you got to have 2. So Britannica will be 1, but you still have to have another credible source. So there's books up here that you can share, look through. He has a question about one of his, 5.
I like it, I'm ready.
I'll take math because it's not in our stations, but we did it with the triple beam balance, but since, that's a great question. Since we don't have it on our stations, we'll definitely take that one, okay? Good question.
I haven't been in your room and you're teaching, but I can tell you from what I see, you are rocking it, cause they are totally understanding all of this.
Nice. Y'all just got a compliment. Oh my goodness. Go sit down. Oh, that's good. That's good. Now look, we talked about this one, we talked about this one, right? Do not forget to record your, credible sources in your journal, okay? No, we don't want to use Google. I like the way that you've chosen these. Now what you want to do is you're going to go back and research these. You can search for them, but you want the websites or a book. And we said that Britannica was going to be one of them. So if you go back to Britannica, thank you. Already got that tab open. Go ahead and log in with that information. And now you have pinpointed the file that you want to talk about. That's awesome.
So Ms. Stroud, in high school, how do you tell your students to determine if a website is credible or not? Do you have some tricks that you tell them?
Maybe the date that it was last updated. Make sure it's recent. A lot of times at the bottom, it'll tell you the date. Maybe who it was written by. Is that person?
We
A
said that it
scientist.
was one, but that wasn't
Yeah.
one that we used, so you could definitely use Freezing Point.
So she said, look at your dates. If you're out on Google and you're looking, remember, you still have to determine, is it credible or is it not? So some of the things that the older kids are told is look at the dates. Is it
Okay, so here's your
recent?
description. Do you have volume on yours?
Look at the author of it. You may have to do a Google search on the author to find out, are they a scientist? Are they an expert in that field?
Put, your site as Britannica Online, okay? So that's a great, Damari found his first one, his first physical, I'm sorry, Decaden. I have a Decaden and a Damari. So, Decaden's found his first one on Britannica. He went and decided what 5 that he wanted. Now he's back in Britannica, finding the definition of what volume is. Good job. Wait. Is it a series of books that you're looking for? Is it an amount of space? That's the one, right? Good.
But you remember how I told you that, Ms.
Okay,
Stroud and I
elemental
could
atoms
type
are
up
things
a
like
paper, we
iron,
could make things up and we would
calcium.
look
So those
very
don't really just-
credible,
they
but maybe
describe
we're not.
that,
So you
but
have
they
to
don't
really
describe
make
physical
sure
properties.
that your author
Does that
is
make
who they
sense?
say they are.
So if you go through there, let's look at the index. You know where the index is? Good job in the back. Mm-hmm.
Say that again?
See.
Yes, you can write. So you might just put a B.
Okay.
I would go ahead and write
Now,
up here. how
what
to spell
physical
it,
property are you
Britannica
looking for?
School,
You said
and then by your
melting
sources, you might
point.
put a
We
B, and
said
that'll tell you that
that we
it's
could use volume, boiling point, all those. See if you can find one of those in your table. I mean, in your index.
Got it? Doing all right? 2, awesome.
Look at here.
I have one if you want.
There you go.
See? Those
Melting
things
point,
make-
page 22. Using the index. Good job.
Ooh. Those are, using your text features.
Yeah,
I like
awesome.
that. Your,
That's gonna
Miss
be a
Shirt's
star
gonna love
program.
that too, that you know what the index is.
The atoms, that's what smaller makes it matter.
Yes, a bunch of atoms all together.
But then I found a book about it, and I found a page that told me what it is and goes.
Excellent, so then you're gonna wanna write down the name of your book and the author, so when you cite it,
I
excellent.
couldn't, it was
Are you
the
supposed to be at
author's
the
page.
design point or the plan point?
So you can open it up to the title page,
So you need to write down
and
your
it tells you her
information.
name right there, okay?
Raise your hand if you have one credible source so far. Okay, shout out what it is. 1, 2, 3, go.
Volume.
Okay, but what's your credible source?
Briannica.
Britannica Online?
Narco.
Okay. Anybody use a book?
Right here.
Nice. You're using the book right now. Keep going. Sorry, babe. I like that you're collaborating together. Good job. No, you actually can, okay? If it can form a solution. So, the word for solution would actually be dissolve. Because when it dissolves, it makes a solution. So that's solubility. That was on one of that list, okay? So let me spell that for you. Ready? You ready? S-O-L? Yeah. Oh, okay, okay, then you don't need me. So, but solubility and solution, the solution is what's made if it has solubility. Does that make sense? So you're not gonna be able to use this definition, you can read it and find out what this is, but your word is gonna be solubility. Okay? I can. Ready? S-O-L. See how it has the same prefix or the same base word? S-O-L-U-B-I-L-T-Y. We'll make sure that it's solve, you, build, oh, I'll put an I right there, between the L and the, there you go. See how it has the same base? Solution, solve, okay? So type in solubility as your search.
You know what I noticed, Miss White, as I'm walking around? Nobody is on the same page.
Isn't that awesome?
They are all at different pieces of information.
That is awesome. I can't wait to share these with each other. Okay, but see, this word is solution. You need solubility, okay? Because this is what you make with solubility. Does that make sense? Okay, and this is actually one of our science lessons that we're gonna do later on. And you're gonna have this again in 5th grade, okay? So in your search, solubility would be your word, okay? Type that in and see what comes up. Miller, good questions. I'm glad that you're making sure.